Hello, everyone. Next talk. This is Axel.
Hi.
Take it away.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to talk about how you get from dist.ini to .deb file in one go. How to use a Distiller maintained Perl module to build Debian packages out of it. Short introduction. I'm using Perl as well as Debian for like 25 years now. I'm a Debian developer for about 10 years now, or maybe 11. And together with a coworker, I developed dh Distiller as a glue code between Debian's step helper and Distiller. So I always started with a motivation a bit, or the history. Usually, when you have a Perl module, you generate some files with metadata or build scripts before you upload them, for example, to cpan, because cpan relies on them. They are usually generated because maintaining them manually is quite a hassle, and the data in there is usually always the same or changes not much and can be templated quite well. Distiller is one of the build systems which allow you to generate such metadata files. And Deb helper is Debian's declared standard toolset for building Debian packages. And it relies on those metadata files cpan requires too. And usually in a Git repository, you don't have those metadata files because, you generate them and you don't want to have generated files in your Git repository. So these are missing when you want to build a Debian package out of the Git repository. And if you don't upload stuff to cpan because it's maybe an in-house Perl module or something, this is a bit annoying. And this is why we built dh-dist-zilla. And let's have a look little bit closer at dist-zilla, how it works. It's mostly, don't repeat yourself or try, and for some people like to abbreviate it that way. So cpan requires a few files to display metadata on the website to know how what dependencies are required, etc. And on the other hand, you need those build scripts, either makefile.pl with capital PL or build.pl. Those are two different systems, but basically work the same. It's comparable to the configure script of typical C projects, and Deb helper relies on them too. And you also have a lot of tests usually, which are the same over all your Perl modules. You check for proper spell, common errors, syntax fixes, typos, syntax problems, like Lintian does for Debian. And Distiller is a nice set of Perl modules and command line tool where you put everything into a simple file called dist.ini. It's also the same format as windows.ini files. And the basic idea is you only put in there what is not the default. It has a few subcommands, like you know from Git. Most important is build. Perl modules usually only have source code, which is later interpreted, but it's still you need to build it. Usually, maybe the shebang line is updated for your system where you install it, etc. And build means it builds a tarball ready for installation and etc. So this is nice if you work only with Perl modules directly. But if you want to have a Debian package, there's stuff missing. There's stuff missing for the for what is required by Deb or expected by Deb helper. So let's look at the typical workflow, how to overcome this. You build the tarball from the, for example, master branch with dh build. Then you have usually a tarball laying around in the same directory. For Debian, you move them to the parent directory, but that's details. You switch to the so-called upstream branch, which is common in Debian packaging Git repositories. You import that tarball into the, which was meant for cpan, into the upstream branch. Then you merge the upstream branch into the Debian branch, which contains the packaging for Debian. You update the packaging. For example, you write the changelog entry for the new package version, and you build the Debian package out of that Debian branch. That's quite an effort to get there if you just want to see if a new bug fix or feature also works properly in the Debian package you build out of your code. So, and what we wanted and what I still really like is to just use my working copy, same branch as where I develop, and I can just build the Debian package with dpackage build package, and don't have to generate that tarball and re-import it. And also I don't want to commit any generated files to the version control system. That includes those files generated by dh build and included in the tarball, which was destined for cpan. So that's where dh-dist-zilla comes into place. We had a few obstacles to solve when we developed it. So one was for bootstrapping with, for example, dh-make-perl, which generates or bootstraps a Debian package out of a Debian of a Perl module. And generates the Debian subdirectory with all the metadata which comes from the files common with cpan packages. There we don't have anything big to do because this is something you do just once per Perl module or Debian package, and you generate a build directory with gzil build. It also generates a tarball, but oh well. You change the directory into the build directory, run dh-make-perl, copy the Debian package directory back, and you remove the build directory and the generated tarball. So, but the hassle is that Deb helper needs those build.pl or makefile.pl files. It does not know about dist.ini, and that's what we solved with dh-dist-zilla. We made Deb helper understand dist.ini. So basically, what we did, we modified the sequence, the common sequence which Deb helper runs by default. So there's one tool called dh-auto-configure, which looks for the build system's configure scripts and runs them. Same is for the dh-auto-install. It tries to run the install target, usually make install if it's a classical autoconf based system. And in the end, dh-auto-clean, and well, we put in there the according dh commands and some parameters to make an out of tree build, because diesel build generates a new directory with all the code in there, including the generated files. So that's basically what dh-distiller does. It adds a few commands at the right places, which are needed to generate those files which deb helper expects for a Perl module anyway. So it's nothing special. It's just the right command at the right time, so that deb helper just works as before, even if those files weren't there initially. So how can I use dh-distiller in my Debian package? It's rather simple. The only thing you have to add is --with and blank distiller. So that enables this sequence plugin which ships with dh-distiller. And of course, you need a build dependency on dh-distiller. So a short link how this looks. This is from my first first official Debian package which used dh-distiller. So there's just one override, and everything else is just completely default by using just our distiller sequence plugin. And the control file has this build dependency on dh-distiller in there, and distiller plugins which I use in this package, but those would be needed anyway. So yeah, it's really rather simple, and in the resources later I have some more links and 2 examples where other people use dh-distiller, and I have links to the commits where they switch to dh-distiller. So one thing which is rather uncommon is the workflow with dh-distiller, because the usual workflow is you have a version control system, usually Git. You run dsil build. You get the cpan tarball, or tarball meant for cpan, which is then usually part of the Debian source package, and you generate the Debian binary package out of that. But with dh-distiller, it's a little bit different, because you use different tarballs for the Debian source package and for the cpan upload. Because cpan requires those generated metadata files anyway, so there's nothing different when uploading a Perl module to this to cpan. The cpan is the comprehensive Perl archive network, more or less a huge repository of Perl modules, and there you use dsil build and maybe even dsil release, and which can even do automatic uploads to cpan as before. But for the Debian source package, you basically just use a tarball of what is in your Git repository. And you build the Debian binary package out of the same source as you have in the Git repository. And for that, you need to generate the Debian .org.tar ball, usually with an XZ compression these days. Originally, it was .gz with gzip. There's a small helper tool called dh-distiller org.tar, which generates that one. And for example, it excludes the Debian directory for that. And usually call that when you made a release and won't make any upstream code changes anymore. So yeah. And yeah, this also has a disadvantage, because the tarballs for Debian and for cpan differ, and you can't, for example, you can't make Debian check the GPG signatures or PGP signatures maybe attached to the cpan tarball. Then on the other hand, cpan doesn't support PGP yet, so as far as I know. So that's not that a big problem at the moment. a few packages which currently official Debian packages which use that. On the one hand, one parts, which is my own package, which I developed around the same time, and which is my Guinea pick for dh-dist-zilla. So I already showed you the Debian rules. These are links, and the slides are linked in the talk description on pre-talks in the schedule. Rory, that's bioscience Perl package, which used it quite early too. And I recently discovered that the git-annex Perl module and the RP git-force package use it too. And there are two nice commits which show how this worked. Let's see if I can. Okay. There it comes. And yeah, so you see the colors. It's a little bit small, but I guess there's not much change. There's a lot of homegrown stuff, homebrew stuff removed, and only one line added. So here at the end, the with distiller is added, and all these manual overrides and some options were dropped, and even including an external makefile has been dropped. So it seemed to be really easy, even for someone who definitely hasn't asked me about it. So let's go back to the slides. I think they a little bit smaller again. Oh yeah, and I'm actually already through. The slides are online under this URL. They are also this is also linked in the schedule in the description of this talk. If you have later questions, you can always reach me on my Debian org address, and links to the websites we developed dh distiller on GitHub. It's in the under the account of my coworker who initially started it. It's packaged in Debian since Debian 8, I think, so for quite a while. Their paper is developed on Salsa, which is Debian's GitLab instance. Distiller website is dh-dist-zilla.org. It's also developed on GitHub. The Debian package is named lib-distiller-perl. That's the common that all Perl modules, and it's mostly a module, have the prefix lib and the suffix -perl. And then I mentioned dh-make-perl, which is actually not a dh plugin, but just a helper to create deb helper conforming Perl packaging for Debian for Perl modules to get a proper Debian packaging. So you can also get it on cpan. Actually, that's it. Let's see if there were questions or are questions.
Hey Axel, thanks for your talk. So far there aren't questions in Element or YouTube, but I'm still watching.
So I've Matrix open now too, in my second screen.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any at the moment, so I think it's okay for us to move ahead. Thank you again for your talk.
You're welcome. I hope it was interesting for at least some of them, because I know it's quite a niche talk, but still, I'm still very happy with that tool we wrote, and yeah.
I think that can be the topic of this conference. After all, this is a niche conference. Super cool, super interesting. Appreciate your time, and thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.